You know that feeling when you're grinding every single day, watching your bank account crawl from 20,000 to 30, then to 40, and it feels like you're running through quicksand? Like no matter how hard you push, that six-figure milestone might as well be on Mars? Here's the part most people don't understand. Reaching $100,000 feels impossibly slow for a reason. But once you cross it, it becomes the catalyst that changes everything about your financial trajectory. Today, I'm going to explain why the journey to your first 100,000 is designed to test your patience, your discipline, and your belief in the process, and why it's the most important financial milestone you'll ever reach. Let me start with a story that might sound familiar. 5 years ago, I was making decent money but felt completely stuck. I had around $15,000 saved, and every month felt like I was barely moving the needle. I'd save $2,000 here, $3,000 there, but the progress felt glacial. I remember doing the math and realizing that at my current pace, real wealth felt decades away. I was frustrated, discouraged, and quietly wondering if I just wasn't cut out for financial success. What I didn't understand then, and what most people never realize, is that the path to $100,000 isn't really about the money. It's about rewiring your relationship with delayed gratification, compound interest, and the invisible forces that separate people who build lasting wealth from those who stay financially stuck. The first reason reaching $100,000 feels so brutally slow comes down to what I call the visibility problem. When you have $5,000 and you save another $1,000, you've increased your net worth by 20%. That feels meaningful, but when you have $50,000 and save that same $1,000, your net worth grows by just 2%. Same behavior, same discipline, completely different emotional experience. Your brain is wired to notice percentage changes, not absolute progress. That's why people feel excited doubling a small amount, but deflated when larger balances grow more slowly, even when the dollar increase is bigger. This psychological mismatch explains why so many people give up right before the tipping point. Now pause for a moment. If you're currently between $20,000 and $50,000 invested, this next part matters more than you think. Because there's something even more important happening beneath the surface. The journey to $100,000 is training you to develop financial patience. Most people are wired for instant gratification. They want results in months, maybe a year. But building real wealth requires thinking in decades, not quarters. Every month you invest instead of spend, every time you resist lifestyle inflation, every moment you stay disciplined when progress feels invisible, you're rewiring your brain's reward system. You're building delayed gratification tolerance. And this skill becomes absolutely essential once your money starts compounding in a meaningful way. Here's the key insight that changes how you view this phase. Before $100,000, effort dominates results. After $100,000, results begin to dominate effort. The math simply isn't on your side early on. Let me show you why. If you invest $100,000 at an 8% return, you earn $8,000 in a year without doing anything extra. That $8,000 then compounds on itself. At $500,000, that same return produces $40,000 annually. At $1 million, you're looking at $80,000 or more. This is the acceleration principle. Once you cross certain thresholds, your money starts working harder than you do. But here's what most people miss. Getting from 0 to 100,000 is the hardest part of the entire journey. It requires more discipline, patience, and belief than any phase that comes after it. This is where most people fail, not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because they underestimate the mental game required. The journey to 100,000 teaches you something no shortcut ever could: how to think like an investor instead of a consumer. Every decision changes. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "Does this move me closer to or further from my goals?" That mindset shift is worth more than the money itself. People who never develop it often lose wealth when they receive it suddenly, through inheritance, business windfalls, or luck. But people who build slowly tend to keep growing because they've trained themselves to think long-term. There's another transformation that happens at this milestone. Reaching 100,000 proves, conclusively, that you can delay gratification for meaningful rewards. That confidence doesn't stay confined to money. It spills into your career decisions, your risk tolerance, and your ability to think strategically about your future. You stop panicking over short-term discomfort because you've already endured years of slow progress and come out stronger. This is also where learning accelerates. By the time you reach 100,000, you've been forced to understand investing, taxes, markets, and compounding. That knowledge becomes increasingly valuable as your net worth grows, because the strategies that work early don't always scale. Here's something most people don't hear enough. The skills required to go from 0 to 100,000 are different from the skills required to go from 100,000 to 1 million. The first phase is about discipline and consistency. The second becomes about optimization and efficiency. But you can't skip the first. Now let's talk about how to accelerate the journey without sacrificing the lessons that make it stick. The most effective lever is income growth. There's a ceiling to how much you can cut expenses. There's far less of a ceiling on how much you can earn. If you increase your income while maintaining your current lifestyle, every additional dollar can go directly toward investments. This accelerates progress without relying on extreme frugality. The skills you build increasing your income also compound over time, just like your investments. The second lever is automation. Remove willpower from the equation. Automate saving and investing so progress happens whether you feel motivated or not. The third lever is time awareness. Every month you delay serious investing doesn't just cost you that month's contribution. It costs you years of compound growth on that contribution. This is why starting early with modest amounts often beats starting late with large ones. Time is the most powerful variable in the equation. Here's your action plan. First, automate your saving and investing immediately. Second, focus deliberately on increasing your income. Third, track your net worth monthly. Not to obsess, but to stay grounded in progress. Fourth, keep educating yourself. Knowledge compounds alongside money. The journey to $100,000 feels slow because it's meant to be. It's not just building your net worth, it's building you. The patience, discipline, and mindset you develop during this phase determine everything that comes next. Once you cross that six-figure threshold, momentum begins to replace effort, and the game changes permanently. Every financially secure person you admire had to go through this stage. Now you understand why it feels the way it does, and why it matters so much. The only question left is whether you'll stay consistent long enough to reach the other side. Your future self is already there. It's waiting for you to keep going.